I'm doing a professorship for what we call information management. We are doing, in rough terms, data processing concepts and issues of general leadership. And the problem is the end of how to do the leadership concepts and the data processing things. Talking about acceptance of cloud computing, we should address first the term acceptance at all. Acceptance is a little bit different in nature. Acceptare in Latin means indeed two different things. One thing is to accept something actively, to agree with it, to buy it, to pay a price for it, and to tolerate is as well acceptance. To tolerate means you are expecting somewhat compensation, you want to be paid for, you would like to have some alignment that you're doing that. And quite another problem in acceptance is that we have something like individual acceptance. Individuals are sometimes acting by far more rational than groups. It happens very often that you are meeting persons who are saying, I would accept cloud computing, of course, but my firm doesn't. It's the company. The company is so stupid. I'm as sly as to do that, but the company has no brain. I will never convince my colleagues to do so. So acceptance is a very, very broad thing, and we could spend more time on the term acceptance if we would have the time, if we don't have. So, acceptance requires trust, and trust is a very interesting thing. You could say acceptance has to do a lot with, you could say, material things. Acceptance is buying, acceptance is cooperation and so. But trust is a mental thing. Trust happens between your ears, over there. And trust is happening from person to person. And it is important to know and to realize that any cooperation, each and every cooperation, requires trust. If you are not trusting, for example, that you are somewhat reliable, that you are trying to attend to my words, I would immediately stop talking to you. But I trust, and that's a good basis to do so. Interestingly, human beings are very fond of trust. Human beings like trust, because trusting is much, much cheaper than trusting not, or not trusting. But you could say, it is reducing complexity of the environment significantly. If you can rely on persons, if you're trusting persons, it makes life much easier and much cheaper. And that is the reason why very often people are stepping for no reason into a trustworthy situation, and they are, you could say, badly disappointed. Now, if you're looking for acceptance factors for cloud computing, you're of course talking about trust in the new technology, trusting the persons who are providing the new technology. And what we are talking about now is how may trust-building measures be constructed. Trust-building measures is a very interesting term. If you Google trust-building measures, you find things like OSCE conference Helsinki in the 70s. Cold War, what have been trust-building measures? How could we establish mechanisms so that East-West could cooperate, East-West could trust each other? This is a number one issue, how trust-building measures are identified in the Google search. Our issue now is cloud computing is still affected with much uncertainty, and the required trust is still not at hand. This is a quote, quoting myself, and Mrs. Schumacher, co-author over there. And the issue is, how could the problem be addressed? Our method is what we call case-based evidence. What is case-based evidence? Case-based evidence, you could say, is learning from similar situations. Case-based evidence means we are looking at isomorphic cases over there, trying to find out what is similar, and then bringing back factors, bringing back structures to the problem at hand. So we are trying to identify here for cloud computing interesting and relevant socio-economical contexts, analyzing these, and then we try to evaluate and transfer identified trust-building factors, and then we would like to give some recommendation for the trust building measurements for the cloud computing community. What is our non-issues? We are talking here absolutely not about representative empiric results. We are not talking about asking as many persons as possible. We are talking about a few cases. We are talking about analyzing the literature. We are talking about interviewing a very few experts. It will not help us if we have an interview series of 2,000 persons talking to us about cloud computing, having actually no idea what they're talking about. So we find it is much more worth to have 20 experts than 2,000 people having nothing about, to talk to. We prefer real cases. Real case means this is not constructed or virtual. We are looking at real cases, and we have not so much relation to information technology. Trust very often is, you could say, mixed up with reliability. And we are having a debate which is saying, yeah, we would like to have reliable systems, we would like to have the secure system and these things. But trust means you are trusting indeed persons, providing a system, and interestingly what comes out is the technical construction has very little to do with the trust building mechanism. The cases will show that. This is a critical phase of our work. What are the good cases? And we have, when we performed analysis in summer, we have 4 cases. The first case is automotive. You could say the most of you have an automobile, something like, BMW, Mercedes-Benz, something. And the most of you do not understand how the automobile is working. You don't. Period. You have a rough idea how the motor is working. You have a rough idea how the anti-blocking system is working. But when it comes to details, you have no idea. If you have a car break down, you stand at the side of the street, open the hood, look into it, close the hood, and then that's it. And if you would construct a car where you have no ability to open the hood, then it's okay as well, because the measures you could undertake are absolutely zero, but you can look at it. Nice. So automobiles are not understood by the drivers, but used by the drivers, and drivers are relying on automobiles, and drivers are trusting the persons who have been building and have been selling the automobile, but do not understand it. We have already some forms of cloud computing in Germany. For example, corporations like Datev or DKIX, and they're doing cloud computing for some 40 years. But it's not called cloud computing, unfortunately. But it is worth to look at this case. Third case, banking. The most of you in this room are clients of banks. And if you would ask you on a representative level, the most of you are not trusting banks. You would say all banks are bad, but one, my bank. My bank is good. I'm trusting my bank, but I'm not trusting the banks. And why that? And that has been the third case. And the fourth case is, I don't know what happened in Europe, actually, about the fuel type E10. E10 has been a failure of acceptance. In Germany, they tried to bring in a fuel type for cars called E10 with 10% ethanol, and it has been a disaster in terms of marketing approaches. What found out? Automotive first. What can we learn? Automotive cars are high-tech products, not understood by the driver, but they undergo a relatively large time frame of probing and testing. No driver would buy a car which is with the technology state-of-the-art. State-of-the-art would mean you buy a Formula 1 race car, which is about 2 hours good enough, and then it needs to get repaired. This would be state-of-the-art. What you want to have instead is a car that holds 100,000, 150,000 kilometers, 10 years, and it has Technic, which is about 7 years old, 5 years old. And that's good enough. Why, what the heck, are you trying to buy computer performance and cloud computing performance, which is state-of-the-art, which has undergone almost no phase of probing and testing? We have in cars a lot of regulation. Regulation means the public certification of the vehicles. Before they go to the street, they are absolutely examined and they're absolutely typed, and they have a very homogeneous shape, etc., etc. And the traffic is controlled by the public forces, by the police. What happens actually in the internet? For cars, safety is a physical feeling. There's a certain branch of constructing a car which is for the haptic. You're going to sit into the car and the car gives a haptic feedback, I'm a safe item. High value materials, etc., causing this. Car manufacturers give a comprehensive mobile guarantee. They say, if the car breaks down, we care for you. No worry. And cars have a very comprehensive psychology of selling. Cars are first of all sold on a sympathy level. You buy a friendly car, a car that is you get acquainted to, a smiling car, a friendly car. Then you are going to enthusiasm. You like the car very, very much. And then you are looking for price and technical features. For example, there's no reason in the world that you buy a car with a high value, what we call metallic surface. There's no technical reason for it. The only reason is for aesthetics, and I like this. I like the color of the car. And what we find out here is cars are high-tech products sold by non-rational reasons. IT outsourcing. We have here in Germany registered cooperatives or registered associations like DATEV, like DKIX, and what they are doing is they have a closed customer group. The trustees are customers, the members of the association are customers, and this is about experts talk to experts. And they have their own tradition and they have their own culture of cooperation. So the trust is pretty much depending on this culture of expertise and culture of knowing each other. And this is resulting in a very, very high reliable culture and very high reliable infrastructure. The qualified service, which is resulting, and is resulting as well in very high price levels. It's not cheap, but it's bought. Because the experts expect that the experts and the whole service quality level is absolutely reliable and trustworthy. So closed user groups, from our point of view, may play a major role in the future dissemination of cloud computing. We'll see. Banking. Technically, banking is a joke. 4-digit PIN. Four-digit PIN for the money card, and behind the money card and the 4-digit PIN, you have some 10,000, 20,000 euros. These guys who hack the 4-digit PIN take away the 20,000 euros. Interesting, isn't it? But you rely on it. Banks have a very professional trust-building process developed in the last years, in the last decades, to say. They have, this is the last point here, they have a very trust-building symbols. They have an attitude of the banking personals. They have a dressor, they have a building. This is very serious, this is very sophisticated. This is no freak show. This is no everything in disorder. It's very well established. And banks have a very interesting legal context. Banks have backing up. What happens if the bank is ruined? especially in Germany, where we have the public banks, the Sparkasse, and the registered cooperatives, Genossenschaftsbanken. It is, you are always on the safe side, no worry. And this is a very interesting transfer of liability. Come back later. Fuel type E10. They tried to sell the stuff in Germany, and then they had at the point of sales, they had a big sign: "Don't buy it. Don't buy it until you are pretty sure that your car is able to eat up the E10 fuel." And what happened? Persons didn't buy it. Massive information deficits, and decreasing prices didn't matter. Even if it is just given away, the people would not like to have it. To the results. I think I have another 2 minutes or so, something like this. I have 2 result slides. This is one, and this one should show organizational effort versus benefit. What we think is, what we have learned from our cases is this one is top. Shift of reliability. That would be the same thing as you have it at banking if you have it in cars. Nobody out there who is buying a cloud computing product would like to be fired for that product by his boss. So if you can shift the liability, if you can put your client in safe hands, in case something happens, you are on the safe side. We have an insurance over there. We have mechanisms that keep you clean. No worry, boy. He's rather interested to buy the product versus when he's absolutely later to be blamed for, what have you done? You have brought our data to these idiots and now the data is gone, you know. Trusted advisory. Trusted advisory means closed clients group, closed user groups. Trusted advisory means let us be among ourselves, you know. Sympathy. Liability, seriosity, these are things very interesting. Where we see a medium term, this is these certificate things, ISO something, so inform the buyers is nice. And we would say the technological effort is, in terms of benefit, you know, there has been done so many things. We have been heard so much things about data security. And so what? Last slide. A few points to be taken home. This is a taking home message, okay? A few points to be taken home. What we need is potential information transparency. This is what we have learned from our registered cooperatives. Each and every trustee has at least the ability to go to a Genossenschaftsbank and look at each and every number in the books. Nobody will do that, of course, because it's too much effort, too much work. But there's the potential to do so. And the same holds for the registered associations like DATEV. Each and every member of the association has a right to go to the managers and say, I would like to see what's happening in there. Nobody does that, of course, but there's a potential to do so. No client would like to reach that big books annual report something, forget about it. But the potential is interesting. Second point, instructing clients. Clients have very often lacks of expertise. Clients are not knowing what they're doing. Holds, for example, for each and every client of a complex technical product. Teach clients, train clients, educate clients. What you need to have is the informed buyer role. As long as buyers have uncertainty, as long as buyers have difficulties to understand what's happening out there, understand price billing mechanisms, etc., they will hesitate to buy. Closed expert clients groups means we are among ourselves. We have not to mess around with any guys who have nothing to do in here and so forth. Provision of public guarantees and certifications. This would mean there is a public administration that is looking what is going to happen with a certain storage as a service, for example. Is this really liable? Is this secure? in traditional technical terms, pretty much comparable to the points that we have at the cars. There is no car on the street which has not at least undergone a certain proof of technical security, etc. Then we need to address the, you could say, social context. This is sympathy. This is a rendering of liability and seriosity, being serious, showing that. And it is also something like trying to influence the public political discussion. Cloud computing as well as e-commerce, almost each and every internet service is in terms of political presence absolutely not well established in the political processes, compared, for example, to banking or automotive. Still big problems out there. And the technical issues and the pricing issues when it comes to acceptance are absolutely in the background. As soon as the product is good, as soon as they're providing quality, liability, the social context is okay, no matter what the product is costing. There are a lot of people buying Porsche cars at an astonishing price, and they're happy, you know. And I thank Bernd Becker, Andreas Weiss, Bernd Becker, for motivating the study analysis. And yes, I hope you can take home the one or other point. So I'm finished for now. We have a report, by the way. It is now in German language. It's a very good report. It's absolutely guidance providing report. You could have it in German language. Download or buy it. 20 euro, something like this. And we will have a, you could say, condensate, a very cut down 30 pages. 30 pages, something, provided by the Eurocloud publication administration process.
Getting translated into English, being available in 3 weeks, 4 weeks time.
What do you want more? This is cool. 3 weeks or something, in English. 30 pages document.
Thank you, Dr. Professor. We don't have any time for any questions, but just in case there are 8 or 9 questions, does anybody have any questions for Dr. Professor Hofmann? Here we have one. Can you shout, or shall I bring you the machine? What a lovely tie you've got.
We are both ties, man. Okay. I'm Nonissues from Webevol. I have a disagreement with you. Cloud is very well accepted by everybody in their daily lives. We all have webmail, we all are using Dropbox, we all are using boxes, we all are using cloud every day. So it's well accepted, has been accepted for 10 years. So it's only organization we don't accept it.
This is the harmony of the world. You are right and you're not right. So, the point is here, you're absolutely right. As soon as it comes to private users, if it comes to the typical daily, we put our data somewhere there, Facebook users, that's absolutely okay. Of course, I'm using something like telecom webmail as well as you do and everybody. But if you're going to a professional context, if you're going to a data center where you have, for example, a person having company intern, something like 20 users or 200 users out there, and then thinking about, should I use a storage as a service I offer from anybody? Should I do that? Then it is becoming by far more critical. And these, you could say, acceptance factors on a commercial basis are by far more complex in nature than the private things. This is exactly what I told you. Acceptance in groups, acceptance of a company is absolutely more complex than acceptance by a single person. By the way, when it comes to questions, if you're looking here, this is my email address. And since nobody has sent me an email all day, you could do so with the question in it. And could be, if it is a good question, I will answer it, of course. Sure, I do.
Right, thank you very much indeed. Are there any more questions? Then it's now time for startup and innovation strategies. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.